Hello, welcome to the Werewolf by Night bonus show. This is a show we make each and every week for our loyal patrons. And this episode, we are going to be talking about a film called Project Metalbeast from 1995. Matt's going to talk about a Kickstarter that he ordered and is just getting around to reading. And we're also going to be discussing the comic from Scout Comics that just came out last month, September, October of 2022, called Sergeant Werewolf. So we got a lot of stuff to cover tonight, so we should just jump in.
Yeah.
So Matt, you and I had a watch along on our Discord, which we have been doing lately, which we have people come on and hang out with us and watch a silly movie. Most of the time, I mean, yeah, we're just watching silly ones on there because that's what's fun to do for a watch along.
Yeah.
And wow, so Project Metalbeast is definitely a silly one. It is. I didn't realize this. I was looking up. It's either on the wiki or IMDb. It's also known as Project Metalbeast DNA Overlord or Overload.
Overload.
I think Overlord would be a little better. I'm just saying. And Metalbeast in the UK.
Yeah, I like that. You know, being a grammar wonk. It always bugs me when people drop the colon after project. So like Project Runway. Whenever I see that show title without the colon after project, it bugs me because I'm, a Euro spy guy. It's Project Black Hawk or whatever. Like, so I like that in the one, there's two colons, Project : Metalbeast : DNA Overload. Subcolons.
That is a subcolon. That's a lot. That's a lot of colon.
Yeah, so this, we watched a version that was Monster Vision, hosted by Joe Bob Briggs from TNT, probably circa 99, 98. So this movie was relatively new when this aired. Back then, they used to have a double feature. I think it started at 10, and the second feature started at midnight. So this was edited a bit for TV, but I don't think it was too much. I think they would probably only edit for nudity. I don't think anybody cared about gore in American culture because we're fucked up. Yeah, so I don't know how I found this. I think I've said this a million times, Googled werewolf movies and just made a master list. And season one, when we decided halfway through season one, like, let's do this every episode. At the end, let's talk about a werewolf movie. So, I watched this one, probably a year ago, and, thought it was really goofy and entertaining in a 90s action whatever way. I think I told you last episode, it's very comic booky. Like the plot's very comic booky. And it is. And that's meant to encompass all connotations that are surrounded by that. Most of the negative ones, though. So, yeah, the premise here, I was joking also when we were watching it on Discord, was like, this is kind of like really shitty Dog Soldiers 2, because the film Dog Soldiers are essentially trying to capture a werewolf, right, alive, these armies out in the moors or whatever, the highlands, to bring back for unknown stuff. But the mind just goes to, well, it would be a bioweapon. Whatever the government's going to do with something dangerous, it's going to be something to hurt lots of people at once. And their plan was the people go to Romania, and this is starts in the 70s, mid 70s, and they are tracking a werewolf. And they shoot it with some silver slugs and withdraw some blood. I think everybody in his unit dies except him. Is that right?
That's right.
Mixing things up. And then he comes back to the States with these blood samples from this werewolf, and people get their hands in him, including Barry Bostwick from Spin City.
Yeah, I think he plays Colonel Miller. I think is his name. But yeah, I mean, it was. This is a supremely goofy movie, and so yeah, Colonel Miller takes this special ops soldier, I think his name is Donald Butler, and takes him and freezes him. And so it started in 1974, like you said, and then we jump ahead 20 years, and that's when we meet kind of the main protagonist of this thing, who is played by Kim Delaney. Who what was her name? Anna DiCarlo?
Yes, I believe
so. And so she's working on this. She's a scientist funded by the government that's working on this like an artificial skin, a skin that's used that could be used for grafts. That is, part synthetic skin,
living.
and then but it's living, and metal is involved somewhere as well.
Yes,
it's kind of I don't know.
It's touch and go.
It's definitely touch and go, and so they her and a bunch of other kind of wacky scientists are working on this stuff, but then they get their project taken over by this colonel, and he tells them that they have a new subject that they're going to be working on. That's a new candidate. That's a cadaver. Because they're initially very opposed to this, but the guy Barry Bostwick, basically his acting is so funny in this. He is so low key evil. Like he's the most low key evil I've ever seen a bad guy. Like he doesn't raise his voice hardly at all. He's just like, well, just do it if you want. I'll take all your money.
Yeah, I think I made I jokingly said like it's almost like the Young Adventures of Cancer Man from X-Files. Like he's very restrained.
He is.
The one thing to note that we didn't mention before the time jump is that back in 1974, all the blood had been used by scientists in failed experiments, and the one soldier who survived getting the werewolf blood is pissed off, so he steals it.
That's right.
And this is after a scientist said, here's what's happening in our test subjects. When we expose it to human blood, that blood turns into pus, and then tissue that's in the blood swells up like a balloon, and then the things agonizingly die. But this soldier's like, no, I spent my whole life trying to get this werewolf blood. I'm going to take this. And he goes in and shoots up in a train spotting bathroom in a government building, and starts to turn into a beast. He can smell smells, hear sounds through air ducts, all this type of stuff you'd expect. And he gets put on ice by Barry Bostwick's character, and he's Captain America for 20 years, but he's a very dark, violent werewolf Captain America.
Yeah, and so the scientists are working on this cadaver to try to give, this werewolf. They're trying to figure out how to do this super soldier that's a werewolf, but it's also made of metal. So it's a good plan. I mean, it looks good on paper.
Isn't the metallicization, is that a word? Isn't that a unwelcome side effect when they're explaining like we're not ready for animal trials? We're not ready for human trials. We weren't even ready for animal trials. Like we can't get the tissue stable enough. It keeps turning into metal.
Yeah, I know. No, you're right. I think that's some kind of weird chemical reaction, I guess. Yeah, some byproduct of the process that they're trying to create the synthetic living tissue. Yeah, it just turns to fucking metal, which Barry Bostwick is super stoked about. So
yeah, that's a dream soldier.
Yeah, it's a dream soldier.
It's a killing machine, and it's got metal skin.
So the scientists are working on him, and they're starting to patch this new skin onto him. I think Matt, when we were watching it, you described it as challah bread.
He looks like he's just made of sewn together challah bread.
Yeah, he becomes challah bread, and as they're doing this, they realize they're like, oh, there's some foreign objects in his chest. Like, I think we should take those out. And I think it was Was I right when we were talking about that basically happens in Assignment Terror in the Paul Naschy film that we watched?
Yes, that is how the second Paul Naschy werewolf film started. Was they remove the bullets from his chest cavity, and that's what resuscitates him.
Yeah, and guess what? That happens here too. So yeah, this guy comes back, and then. Yeah, how
all
much
hell breaks loose.
All
There's
hell
not
breaks
a lot more to
loose.
say. I mean,
There really isn't.
It's it's kind of a lower budget thing, so it looks like it was probably filmed in, I don't know where it was filmed. I didn't do that homework. But it looks like it's one of those things like a Neil Breen movie or whatever. It's like you just rented the college library, huh? Like this is like
absolutely
a couple wings of the community college in town. Like it looks like that kind of a thing. But yeah, I mean, he does actually kind of Hulk out and like kind of turn metallic and get more and more like weird as it goes on, like Tetsuo with Iron Man or something. Like he does kind of mutate a bit. It's not the silver aluminum werewolf we were promised, I think, in the earlier kind of reels.
but it gets close at the end. So I was happy about that.
There's some good kills.
There are definitely some good kills.
Also to note that this soldier, once he does turn into the werewolf in modern times of 94, he is played by Kane Hodder as the creature, who is, well known for playing Jason in, I don't know, 4 Friday the 13th.
Yeah, so I mean, this movie is as goofy as shit, and if you want to see it, I mean, it's online a bunch of places, but I kind of liked watching the Joe Bob Monster Vision version. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Joe Bob, and he always brings something new to something. Like, even if it's a film I don't think I want to watch, his research and interviews with like people involved in it always makes it worth watching for me. So yeah, he's a winner. You can't lose watching a film with Joe Bob, I guess is what I'm saying.
I don't know if I would recommend
this one, not as much.
No, this is old school.
He had very little to say about this because it's pretty much garbage that was 2 years old when he showed it.
Yeah, which I actually I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. I don't know if I would recommend this. It's hard to give it a claw up, but I did have fun watching it. And if you want to watch a really terrible werewolf film that is goofy and has that mid-90s goofiness, it's fun. It's fun to sit and watch with people, I bet.
Yeah, I have to say, if we're going to describe it as a B movie with a lot of failings and a low budget, and it's pretty goofy as shit, if you are looking for that, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I would not, as a film, I would give it this, but I've watched it twice now and I had fun both times. Kind of riffing it, like, just having you guys there and just being like, just kind of, hopefully not annoyingly, but like just kind of chiming in, like when something's funny that cracks you up. I had a good time. So
no, I had a good time too.
It's a for me.
Yeah, me too. I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah. It was just kind of fun to jump into the 90s too. Like the lycanthropy fell out of favor a bit after the 80s. I feel like it kind of I feel like until 95, 96, like in the early 90s, it wasn't around much.
Not really.
Bad Moon Rising or Bad Moon, whatever we saw.
Bad Moon.
But that was 96.
Yeah, that was later.
Was 95.
90s, yeah.
I feel like in the early 90s, there was not a lot.
Well, the 80s had just a ton of werewolf stuff.
So it's oversaturated. The 80s were all about vampires because vampires represented the rampant capitalism and the Wall Street, all that kind of shit, and the, whatever the yuppie shit was. Like, they're perfect metaphor for that. So vampires, it was all about vampires from like 85 to 95.
Yeah.
In B movies and bigger scale. So yeah. We're running low here on choices.
We are. Did we not talk about, we didn't talk about what we're going to watch next.
No. I kind of want to go back, but it's something you've seen. I don't know if you want to see it. 1955's The Werewolf. It's a science werewolf. You didn't seem to love it though.
Did I watch that?
Yeah, you early, like in the first season, you watched it and you said, yeah, it's just that he's a science werewolf. It's like not really. It was okay. You said it was fine. I
would be fine with watching that again.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. I've always wanted to see it. I love the promotional art for it. So cool. Full on science werewolf.
Full on.
All right. So we're going to do Kickstarter catch up. And my earliest one that I have is Mr. Monster, The Original Adventures of Doc Stearne, which is by Fred Kelly. I'm showing some pictures here. I'm just going to shoot a little video of me leafing through the pages because I don't want to try and do anything more complicated. But I might show some stuff to you, Jacob. But these are the original adventures of the character called Doc Stearne. He was so in the start of World War II, there was an embargo, a trade embargo. And so American comics, as part of this, could not come into Canada anymore. So all comics in Canada up to that point were American. So once that happened, they had to kind of kickstart their own comics markets to fill that void. So there's like Nelvana of the North, I think, is one of the more famous ones of the Golden Age. And they started this one. There's like a bunch of those, like, they're called like WoW. And they just have a bunch, 5 ongoing different kind of interchangeable things. But this is about a character that appeared in this very thin volume and then just kind of disappeared for a while. And then Michael T. Gilbert loved him and kind of rebooted him essentially and made him this character's son. And he did monster hunting stuff. And if you haven't seen Michael T. Gilbert's Mr. Monster in the 80s and 90s, it's gorgeous stuff. Every collection of it is out of print. They've done several collections over the years, and they're constantly out of print, and they're like hundreds of dollars. Please, Dark Horse, or whoever has the rights right now, please just fucking reprint this stuff. It's gorgeous. But this stuff here is very clunky in a good way. So he starts off, this is basically how he becomes Mr. Monster, because he is Doc Stearne. And it's that typical Golden Age thing where there's a bald scientist with glasses and a mustache and his lovely daughter, Gloria. And then this guy is like tagging along as a bodyguard type of, that typical guy, just the man of action that accompanies them. So this basically covers like a 5-part installment of like 5-page stories of them. Like there's this, I love the original plot of it is there's massive suicides going on throughout Canada. And they trace these waves, these radio waves, to this strange up north, to the very barren north of Canada, to this volcano. And the heat from the volcano has made this a tropical paradise. So it's this big crater inside this volcano. And they find these brain men who have giant heads like the leader. And they're putting these amplifiers on their head and sending out these thoughts of despair to all the humanoids to make them kill themselves. We don't know why. Doesn't matter. But yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff: volcanoes, brain men, savages. There's a wildly racist Japanese issue in here that's content warning. I'm not even going to show it in here really because it's really super racist.
Yep.
But yeah, this character, he looks like Doc Savage essentially. There's this whole thing. The art kind of reminds me of like Richard Sala meets, like modern versions.
Oh, that's cool.
Like Richard Sala meets like Fletcher Hanksy kind of. I don't know. It's all Flash Gordon inspired, whatever. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
and then the final issue is when Fred Kelly, the creator, decided to reboot him. It's the first one in color, and it's the first one where he's called Mr. Monster, and he has an outfit and has this monster fighting outfit. And that's kind of where he stopped. So Michael T. Gilbert found this issue essentially and was like, holy shit, I got to use this guy because he looks amazing. And that's what he did. So this one I told you about a little bit before was kickstarted in 2016, maybe. The kickstarting person was pregnant and thought maybe being a new mom won't be a problem. And she kept chiming in, updating like, wow, being a mom's really hard. Like, it's hard putting this book together.
Yeah,
and then she had a personal tragedy in her family, a loss in her family. And then she was offline for like 2 years. So everyone was doing that whole, can I have my refund, please? Like, I'm sorry this happened to you, but it's been like 4 years. Like, let's just stop. And then some other dudes in Canada came in and picked this up and brought it over the finish line, and it's fucking gorgeous. You can still pick it up now. So I recommend it. It's actually, I read through the whole thing in one sitting and had a blast, and I kept flipping back to the art and really enjoyed the art. And there's good intro stuff explaining the where this came from, and there's gorgeous back matter. Different stuff from Fred Kelly, and they had a bunch of today's favorite artists doing some pinups. Like there's like 30 pages of pinups from different people doing gorgeous stuff contributing
That's
to
awesome.
this. So yeah, highly recommend it.
Oh, that's so cool.
All right. So yeah, Sergeant Werewolf from Scout. I know Scout from our friend Matt Merrill Lowry, who did Lifeformed. I think they picked him up. He was a fan of theirs, and I think now they're publishing his book Lifeformed. Am I correct?
Did Scout pick that up? Oh, not Thoughtscape. You're talking about Lifeformed, the
Lifeformed.
original thing. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Maybe they did, but that would be cool. Yeah, because we love Matt.
I'm pretty sure Dark Horse passed on an extended contract with him.
I remember.
And he got those rights back. And so Scout was publishing Lifeform, the first graphic novel, as individual issues. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. This is by Rich Woodall. And I don't know who told me about this. I feel like it was Stapled Spine.
I think it was Jack that let us know about this. And so like you said, this is written, illustrated, lettered by Rich Woodall, who I was not familiar with. And I guess, I was looking online and I did see that for the first issue, they did a ton of variants. And one of the variants was made to look like an issue of Werewolf by Night.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't see that one.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. You know, I know how you and I feel about variants, about having 20 variants of
Chase issues piss me off.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, so this is kind of it's a pretty fun comic. So it takes place during World War II. You just jump in right on the first page, jumps into Liechtenstein Castle, Germany, 1942. And it's these it's a Nazi vampire who is making an army of golems to fight the Allies. And it's so I was trying to figure out, I really liked the art. Like the art I think was one of my favorite things. I couldn't figure out exactly what it was about it. But yeah, it's very it's very stylized. Oh, who did this remind you of art wise?
Okay, so a lot of the art reminded me of did everyone knew Super Spy by Matt Kent?
Yeah.
A lot of it reminded me of that, like that kind of cartoony, very simple, like this first image you see in the entire comic is a photo reference of a castle, like a German castle, clearly photo reference, like in a cool way. Yeah. But then you see this guy in the kind of mid-ground saying, keep it quiet, you knuckleheads. And that looks like a super simplified soldier like Matt Kent does. Like, I don't know. Again, you know, cartooning is a hard word to use because it's not Richie Rich, but it's like, it's not photorealism. It's more stylized. Yeah,
it's definitely more stylized. And so yeah, and it's kind of about a group of soldiers that invade this castle, very much like Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos.
It's like Dirty Dozen. I mean, it's Dirty Dozen meets Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos.
Yeah, and so there's lots of goofy shit. They end up once they start invading the castle, they end up fighting these sharks, but they're sharks with a bunch of legs, like spider legs.
Yeah,
and it's just it's super fucking goofy, and so I don't think it's giving anything away. So their sergeant is shot and obviously killed. He has a giant hole where his eye was and blew out his head. They cover him with a wolf skin, and then
I love this.
I know that the transformation page is really cool. Yeah, it just kind of talks about. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give too much away because it's really cool. But he transforms into a werewolf, and shit gets real, and it's really violent. It's really fun. It looks good. I dug the writing. It's it's really fun. Like, it's dark and kind of violent, but I think it's more fun than anything else.
Yeah, it gets violent, but it's surprisingly fun and lighthearted and adventurous throughout. I mean, I think it's taking, for granted that we've grown up watching The Dirty Dozen and all these Inglorious Bastards and stuff like that, where it's like, we're cool with the Nazis getting their faces torn off, right? Like that kind of thing.
We're all fine with it.
So how cool would that be if it was a werewolf sergeant doing it? So this is essentially an origin story, this whole first issue, which is 36 pages. And, narratively, it touches on a bunch of stuff like Mignola does with the Hellboy verse. Like, it's like jumping back in time. Here's this thing, he'll do the stuff. The Nazis are into the Norse magic and trying to use magic to beat the Allies. I mean, there's a bunch of things that are familiar to us as modern comics readers, but I really dug the balance of like making this like it's a comedy in a really dark way. It's an adventure strip, like you said. He's very Nick Fury, and like his attitude, like essentially stick Nick Fury in the middle of a Hellboy kind of adventure in Nazi Germany, and it's like that. I mean, it's I wasn't sure what I thought of it the first few pages, and then once things took a turn, and once magic and mythology got involved, and our guy became a werewolf, I was like, holy shit, okay, I'm actually loving this. And I like the art. I like the art throughout. But every time there was an extreme close-up of a character, like on page 2, and the first time when the sergeant turns into a werewolf, the detail is fucking gorgeous. Like the bottom right panel of page 2, of him yelling or just glowering like Steve Rogers or something like that, saying, "Let's go!" Like just gorgeous. Like I'm trying to think of who it's even like. It's like John Romita Jr. meets Kubert or something. Like it's beautiful. And like you said, it has all that shit. I love these guys are like on a suicide mission in this German Nazi castle, and they go downstairs and there's waist high water at the bottom of the stairs. So like in all this nightmare feel, like they're holding their guns up and like walking through and they get attacked by legged sharks. And Norse mythology comes in. It establishes this character awesomely, even establishes him within mythology in a cool way. Like I really liked it. I was surprised by how much I liked it.
Yeah, I was too. I did really like it. For some reason, what kind of stood out to me, the one thing that I would maybe change is maybe bring in an actual letterer. That was the only thing that kind of, I don't know why I noticed it, but I was just like, oh, the lettering, I don't know. That was the only thing. Yeah, the computer lettering kind of took me out of it slightly from time to time, but I get that it's a huge expense. I understand that. So yeah, not a criticism at all, but that was the only thing that did kind of take me out of it from time to time. Yep,
I totally agree. There were times when I reread stuff again, just expecting like human lettering, and was a little bummed.
Yeah.
The only place I really accept mechanical lettering is from EC Comics. And other than that, I'm a little bummed when people do. Like you said, I totally get it.
I get it.
It's an entirely different layer of human effort to make that happen. So I get it. But so this thing again is an origin story. It ends, it was a suicide mission, but not everybody dies. And there's a nice ending to this, setting up future adventures. And I was like, bring it on. I fucking loved it.
That was
I was
really
shocked.
Fun.
Yeah. And like, we get an appearance from General Patton. And he visits our hero all bandaged up in a medic tent. And he's like, saying, we got all this work to do, blah, blah. And he just pulls his bandages off, puts his helmet on, and is like, give me a gun and let's win this war. So, I mean, it's fucking badass.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
And there were some nice variants at the end, variant covers at the very end of this file, 2 of them. The second one that was all pencil, I loved.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the first one, but the second one that was pencil, I was absolutely wild about. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about my sexy German SS woman thing.
Yeah.
So let's just leave that.
Yeah, so that was cool. I'm glad we were able to talk about a modern werewolf comic.
Yeah, me too. I felt really hip. Because we haven't done that since Lonely Days,
Savage Nights.
Savage Nights, yeah.
That was the last one. Yeah, I know. It's been a long time. So that's nice.
Yeah, cool. Is that it?
I think that's it. I think this is a sleek, lean, mean bonus episode.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I recommend that Mr. Monster thing. I recommend Sergeant Werewolf. I really hope there's more to come.
I think there will be. I'm sure there will be.
I have no idea what like their buyership, like how big of a market Command Scout has. I have a feeling it's lower than I would like.
I'm sure it is.
I feel like all I want to read anymore is old stuff, like funny animals and old horror stuff, and modern indie stuff. And I don't have any interest in what Spider-Man's doing right now.
Not really, no.
So this stuff gets me super excited. And this one was like, God, if you love Nick Fury and all that kind of shit and the Mignolaverse, you'll fucking love this thing. Mm-hmm. Pick it up. Buy it, please, because they might make more if you buy it. So buy it.
Yes.
I bought it digitally. I plan to buy it. If it continues, I'll keep buying it digitally and sharing it with you, Jacob, to review on the show. And I will buy the trade when it comes out. But I'll keep buying it as issues come up just to keep it happening.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool. So we're going to watch The Werewolf from 1955. I've never seen this for next week. Science Werewolf. I think you were even saying like it's even like a flower based thing, like Werewolf of London or whatever. So yeah, you weren't thrilled about it, but I just want to see it. It's been on my list for a long time.
Yeah, but that was over a year or 2 years. That was over a year ago, so I have no memory of it.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll be watching it anew.
I don't know if we want to do it on the Discord or not, but we'll figure that out.
I like doing it on the Discord. I think that's fun.
I think it's great.
Yeah, we need to try and get some more people on.
Yeah. I will start posting that on our Twitter feed and Instagram, just letting people know, hey, there's a Discord up. I'll replace our URL in our bio and say, there's a Discord, come join us.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, well, that's the bonus show. So from us to you, may your fur never bristle in the moonlight.
Stay furry, friends. That's the bonus show.